Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadguru Brahma Vidvaram Sadguru Brahma Vidvaram. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitaamritavarshini Bhagavati Ashtadashadhyayani Ambatvamanusandatami Bhagavat Gite Bhavadveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavai Vedai Sanghapada Kramo Vanishadai Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam na vidutsura suraganaha Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha Satchidananda Rupaya Vishvotpatyadihetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. So in the 18th chapter, Bhagavan first told us what is Tyaga. Tyaga is the giving up of the doership, not giving up of the actions. And sannyasa is the giving up of the ego. So giving up the fruit and giving up the ego. Then we learned about the various aspects of karma, the jnanam, the knowledge, karma, the action, karta, the doer of the action, and buddhi. So jnanam is knowledge and buddhi is implementation of the knowledge. And we studied how these jnanam, karta, karma, and buddhi can be sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic. Sattvic being pure knowledge, rajasic being passion and action, and tamas being laziness, indolence. And through this, we have understood that as far as possible, I should keep my thoughts, my actions in the sattvic mode, in the sattvic thoughts, in the sattvic actions. And if my mind goes into rajas or tamas, I should bring it back. And last week we had studied in detail about Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic Buddhi, where the Sattvic Buddhi is the one who is unattached, who knows what should be done, what should not be done, and where I should fear and where I should be fearless. In wrong actions, I should be fearful. In right actions, fearless. And what is bondage and what is liberation, how to get out. The Rajasic Buddhi is the one that knows what is right and what is wrong, but is unable to do the right action because of attachment, because of selfishness, and often can commit wrong actions. And the Tamasic one is whose thinking is opposite. He thinks the wrong to be right. At least the Rajasic knows what is wrong, what is right. The Tamasic thinks the wrong thing is right, and that I must do. It doesn't matter how much damage I cause to myself and to others. And then last week, we started studying about Dhriti. Dhriti is fortitude, forbearance, firmness in action. So when I start doing sattva, and something happens, and then my mind goes towards rajas or tamas, and my actions deteriorate. So how to keep my mind and actions continuously in sattva is dhriti, or fortitude. And we learned about sattvic dhriti, where it says that this person is very alert about mana, prana, indriya, kriyaha. How is my mind doing? How my actions are? How even my pranas are functioning. And he is able to hold on to it. Why? Because his mind is always attached to the Lord. Yoga, yogena avyabhicharinya, with no oscillation, his mind is always attached to his Bhagwan, and that dhriti, that fortitude is sattvic. Bhagwan is telling us. Today we shall start with Rajasic. This is shloka number 34 in chapter 18, where he talk about Rajasic Dhriti. Yaya tu dharma kamarthan dhritya dharayate Arjuna prasangena phalakankshi dhriti sa partha rajasi. Together, yaya tu dharma kamarthan dhritya dharayate Arjuna prasangena phalakankshi dhriti sa partha rajasi. Yaya, so by which dhriti, by that dhriti, Yaya is continuing the topic of dhriti, to indeed, for certainly, dharma, kama, artha. So there are four purusharthas: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So Bhagwan eliminates moksha because for the Rajasic person, moksha is not his goal. We'll discuss in little more detail during the talk. So his goal is dharma, kama, artha. And with dhriti, with firmness, he holds on to this dharayate. He holds on to it. O Arjuna, this person, the Rajasic person, holds on to dharma, artha, and kama. And why? Prasangena. Prasangena has two meanings. We'll talk about it. One is with extreme attachment, and phalakankshi, and with the idea that what can I get out of it? What is the fruit of this action? What is the result? And such a person, dhriti sa. So such a person's dhriti is, O Arjuna, Partha, it is Rajasi. So we talked about four purusharthas: dharma, which is doing religious actions. Also, dharma means doing the right thing. Artha is wealth. Kama is sense pleasures. And then moksha, the liberation. And that is the Purushartha, that is for all of us, that we should perform our actions with the right understanding, dharma, right way. And artha and kama, even when I'm acquiring wealth or enjoying sense pleasures, I should do it with dharma, with the right attitude, right action. And then ultimately my goal should be moksha. That is for all of us. But those of us, if we are very rajasic, then he will do dharma, he will do rituals, but not for right conduct so he can get heaven. There are certain rituals prescribed in our Vedas that when performed by an individual or by a pandit will get you to heaven. So his goal is heaven, to enjoy here and to enjoy in heaven, and he will come back because he has no idea of moksha, freedom from rebirth again and again. He doesn't mind. So his purpose of doing action is to enjoy heaven or to get name and fame. How great a dharmic person he is. He has done these rituals. Then artha and kama, when he acquires wealth, it is to get more power, more strength. And kama is he thinks enjoyment of life is the only purpose. Enjoy life and live happily. Enjoy here, and if you go to heaven, enjoy there too. And his actions are governed by fruit. See, fruit always comes after the seed. You plant the seed and then you get the fruit. So here I do the action and the result comes afterwards. And his idea is that what am I going to get out of this action? Selfish action, what will be my gain out of it? How will I benefit? And his purpose in life is success. So you tell him, he finds out there is this party, all the big shots are going to be there. So I'm going because there I can make contacts, I can get more business, get more success. Or a person may go, I want to show off my new wardrobe, my new jewelry or new whatever. And so his purpose of going there is to go to a party. And if you ask him, come to Bhagavad Gita or Vedanta class, it's okay, I'll be going to bed very late. I won't going to have time. There'll be a lot of other people, let them attend and listen. For me, this is very important because that's where my goal of life is, to progress. So his motive in doing actions is selfish, not unselfish. And so for that, he is ready to do anything. And what is the purpose of his action? Recognition, name and fame. And how can I become wealthier? I can become more powerful. I can become well known in the community. How I can expand my business, how I can make contacts. So in that, his dhriti is very firm. He will commit all his actions into that goal. And dhriti is also called willpower, willpower. So a sattvic person, if he decides that I am going to work towards my spiritual unfoldment, I'm going to grow towards spirituality, a sattvic person decides, then his whole or her whole willpower energy is directed towards that sattvic growth. But a rajasic person, his willpower is weak. Why? Because his goal is not very clear. His goal is worldly. And in worldly goals, these are temporary, they are changing. I get something, then I want more, and then I want more and more. And then when I don't get, I become dissatisfied. So there is no joy in his actions. We'll be talking about sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. So come today and then next week. Next week, actually, the class will be closed because of Easter. We'll meet in 2 weeks. So his goal, if it's sattvic, then he's firmly established in that will. But if it is rajasic or tamasic, so has no goal at all. His goal is just to do minimum and get the maximum from society. Do minimum, no need to work. And as much as I can get is fine. A Rajasic person wants to accomplish a lot, but for selfish goals. So that his willpower is all directed towards that. And if he doesn't get it, then his willpower decline. He say, maybe I'll go get something else. And it is said, Bhagavan says, prasangena. It is with extreme attachment. Sangha means attachment. Prasanga means prakarshena sangha, extreme attachment. Prasanga also in Sanskrit means on occasion. So on certain occasion, I think in other languages also prasanga is used. So on occasion means that when it is beneficial to me, then I will do good deeds, I will do dharma. When it is not beneficial, I won't. So his dhriti becomes strong only on those occasions when it is for his benefit. When it is for benefit of society, okay, I do it. And even if I do it, it is for, I become well known, I become famous. So that is called prasangena phala kankshi. And such a person is said to be Rajasic, where he does actions for his own selfish goals. Now we'll go to Tamasic. Number 35. What is Tamasic Dhriti? Fortitude or forbearance in Tamas. Shloka number 35, chapter 18. Yaya swapnam bhayam shokam vishadam madamevacha na vimunchati durmedha Triti sa partha tamasi. Together, yaya swapnam bhayam shokam vishadam madamevacha na vimunchanti durmedha driti sa partha tamasi. So yaya, by that, swapnam. Swapnam means sleep. Swapnam also means fanciful imaginations or daydreaming. So two meanings of swapnam. In Sanskrit, one is sleep, one is dreaming, but daydreaming. Swapnam. Bhayam is fear. Shokam is sorrow. Vishadam is depression. Madam is arrogance. So na vimunchati, he does not give up. Who? Durmedha. So Bhagavan Shri Krishna has a beautiful name for this person called Durmedha, and we'll discuss what is the exact meaning. Durmedha. Gurudev in his commentary says fool. That is one meaning, but there are other meanings also. So we'll talk about what is this Medha Shakti. So a person, na vimunchati durmedha. So this foolish person does not give up sleep, fanciful imaginations, fear, depression, sorrow, and arrogance. And Triti sa partha tamasi. So this person, his or her fortitude or forbearance, doing without fail is tamasic. He puts a lot of effort, but his actions are tamasic. So let us talk about Durmedha, the adjective given by Bhagwan to this person. So Medha Shakti is the ability to memorize and the ability to recall. That's why we have Medha Suktam, in our suktas, where it is to Mother Saraswati, where chanting Medha Suktam is said to improve one's memory. So not only I remember, but I'm able to recall at the right time. See, that is very important part of memory. not only to remember, but to be able to recall. And when that memory is not available, when I need it, that is called Durmedha. This reminds me of a story. So there was this man who was getting old. He was about 75. A lot of us are there, so I guess we shouldn't call them old. But anyway, so this person turned 75 and he told his wife, it's hard for me to play golf. He was a great avid golfer. Why can't you play golf? He says, every time I hit the ball, I can't even see where the ball is gone. My vision is going down. I went to the eye doctor. He gave me new glasses. Still, it's not that good. I can't see where the ball is gone. And so she said, well, I have a solution. Take my brother, older brother. Said he's 85, as you know, but he has perfect eyesight. He can see 20/20 exact. So take him with you. He's not doing anything. So take him. He'll go walk around with you, get some exercise, and he'll watch you play golf. And he will tell you where the ball is. So he takes his 85-year-old brother-in-law. He hits the ball hard. He asks his brother-in-law, did you see the ball? He says, yes, I saw the ball. So he says, where is it? He says, I forgot. So what is the of such a memory? So this person, of course, forgets because of age, but a tamasic person forgets because he has no interest in this knowledge. He says, I have heard it, a waste of time. So such a person is, even he may have heard, but he interprets it ulta, ulti khopdi. His interpretation is opposite. So that is called tamasi, memory. Then sleep. Sleep means he loves to sleep. You ask him, what time will you get up? He says, I will let you know when I get up. That is his answer. And even one is oversleep, other one is daydreaming. Even when he's listening to the lecture, his mind is wandering somewhere else. What am I going to do after the lecture, or where am I going? At least here, these people, I can see half the people on Zoom turn off their cameras. So I don't even know, he might have turned off his camera and gone somewhere else to bring food. So the point is that they're daydreaming. Their mind is wandering all the time. So that is called swapnam. Then fear. Fear is, oh, how about if that will happen? What will happen? What will I do? Array, it hasn't even happened yet, but a lot of us are like that. How about if this happens? What will we do? How will we do it? And I have one friend who always worries that he'll lose the flight. He'll miss the flight, or he'll miss the train, or he'll miss. So he goes so much ahead, and then he'll plan, if he lives in the Northeast, so if there's snow, then how will I get there? So he'll plan ahead of time. If there is snow, what will I do? I mean, yeah, you have to plan a little bit, but he's always afraid, I'll miss this, I'll miss that. And he's hours ahead, he starts on. So that is fear. It may not even happen, but that is fear. Then bhaya, we talked about shoka, vishada, and mada. So those three we can cover together. As Gurudev has said, shoka is sorrow of what happened in the past. Vishada is depression of what will happen in the future. And mada is arrogance about the present. So in all three periods of time, he is unhappy. He is unhappy about the past. He is worried about the future. And in the present, his actions are with arrogance. Another meaning of sorrow is repeatedly worrying about what has happened, or sorrowful about what happened in the past. Keep on crying. Like now, I told you this joke about the golf. Now, if I tell you the joke next week again, will you laugh? No. Somebody may remember. If I tell it 3 weeks in a row, definitely you will say, what's wrong with this guy? Why can't he find new jokes? That's why I have to keep finding new jokes to keep people awake. Otherwise they fall asleep. So the point is that we don't laugh at the same joke 3 times. Then why do we feel sorrow about the same sorrow on and on and on? Last year it happened, the year before it happened, 6 months ago. And the same sorrow, we keep brooding over it. That is called sorrow. That it's happened, okay, it's happened in the past. I learn from the past and then move on and not repeat that mistake. Or if it is sorrow, how long are you going to? That's why Bhagavan Shri Krishna starts with ashocyan anvashochastvam pradava pragnavadamscha bhashase gatasuna gatasuncha na anushochanti panditaha. He says a wise person, yes, there may be a situation for sorrow. Could be even death of a near and dear one or something, or a sorrowful situation, lost a job. But to keep on brooding over it again and again is a waste of time. It's okay, ho gaya. Now let me learn and let me improve. So what Vedanta does makes us strong inside. That yes, sorrows will come in everybody's life, but I learn from that and then I move on and I drop it. It's over now. What is the use of crying over spilled milk? There is this famous phrase, just clean up the milk and pour a new glass. There is no point crying. So what has passed in there, one should not brood over, not should repeatedly. Anushochanti does not means again and again one should not brood over sorrow. Let it go. Panditaha, wise person, does not brood. So we talked about sorrow, we talked about depression. Vishadana, mother. Mother has a beautiful meaning. What it means is to hold on to the wrong thing even when I know it is wrong and it's not working. Like say a company, now we decide to build a branch, satellite office, say in a different country. And we put a lot of money, put $500,000, $1 million, build a nice office and hire staff and try to do marketing, advertising, everything. And it does not work. 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, the branch is not making much money. I'm spending more than what I'm collecting. But the CEO says, you know what, my prestige is there. I put that branch, so I'm going to keep pouring more money into it. Waste. You have to cut your losses. Okay, we tried 5 years, it didn't work, close the branch and move it back. So that is mother, that holding on to the wrong idea, even when you people have told you it is wrong. The best example in our scriptures is Ravana. Everybody knows the story, but just to briefly go over, Hanumanji came, burnt Lanka and left, and all his Rakshasas, so many were killed by him. His son Akshay Kumar was killed by Hanumanji, and Ravana could do nothing to stop him. He should have thought, Are ek doot aaya, one messenger came and I couldn't do anything. Imagine when that person, Sri Ram, comes with his whole army, how am I going to handle? He didn't listen. He said, no, I can defeat the devas. I can defeat this ordinary human. Then second warning, Angad comes, Bali's son. He says, I put my foot down on this in your palace. And if any of your Rakshasas can even move that foot 1 inch, you know what he said? He said, we will leave. Ramchandra ji will leave and we will leave Sita ji here. Any of you, that much courage and purity, he said. He said, not only I, but Ramchandra ji, we will all leave. And we will leave Sita ji here. And nobody from his court could even move his foot 1 inch. So he should have learned, if his dutas, our messengers are that powerful, who am I? Still didn't learn. Then in the war, his son Indrajit was killed. His brother Kumbhakarna was killed. Majority of his army was killed. And even that his wife Mandodari tells him, Nath, please listen. We cannot defeat Sri Rama because he's not an ordinary human being. He's that supreme Brahma, Vishnu, consciousness himself who has manifested in human form. Let us give Sita. No, I don't want to. I don't never going to serve. So that is mother, where ultimately he was killed, the whole, all his Rakshas army was killed. So that is holding on to something without logic, and doesn't matter how much damage I have. So that is called tamasic dhriti. You're holding on to the things. One is you hold on to sattvic. You're doing something right. Doesn't matter. I'm fearless. No matter how many obstacles come, I will do the right thing. But to hold on to the wrong thing, even when you have seen, Guruji says, one Swami Tejomayanandaji says very beautifully, he says, if you keep doing the same thing again and again, you will keep getting the same result again and again. What we do, we keep doing the same thing and we say, next time the result will be better. No, if you want a better result, you have to change your actions and do better actions. So that is called tamasic, expecting wrong actions to give you right result. Now, Bhagwan Sri Krishna changes his tune. He has already covered Jnanam, Karma, Karta, Dhriti, and Buddhi. All five he has covered. Now, he talks that doing these five things, right knowledge, right action, right doership, right implementation, and right dhriti, what is the purpose? Why am I doing this action? So they say, why are we doing action? For sukha, right? Every act, nobody does an action for dukkha, that it's going to give me sorrow. And any action we do is for sorrow. Even a person who is drinking and drugs and all, he knows it is harmful, but he says it gives me joy. And a person who earns, who is successful, he wants joy from this action. Even physically, when we are sick, we go to the doctor. Why? It will give me health. So the purpose of every action is joy, sukham. So now Bhagwan is going to talk about three kinds of sukham, three kinds of joy. Because just as there is sattvic action, rajasic action, tamasic action, there is also sattvic sukham, rajasic sukham, and tamasic sukham. So Bhagwan in shloka number 36 introduces this topic of sukham. So chapter 18, sukha, shloka number 36. Sukham tvidanim trividam Shrunu me Bharatarshava Abhyasat ramate yatra Dukhantam cha nigacchati. Together, Sukham tvidanim trividam Shrunu me Bharatarshava Abhyasat ramate yatra Dukhantam cha nigacchati. So now he says, Sukha, joy. Tu idani, tu means clearly, idani means now. Trividham is of three kinds. Sukha is also of three kinds, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Bhagwan Sri Krishna, throughout the Bhagavad Gita, that is his emphasis, chapter 14, 17, 18, about the three gunas. So he says three kinds of sukha. There is sattvic, which is the right knowledge, rajasi is action, and tamas is laziness. Shrunu me, oh, listen from me, Bharatarshava, best among the Bharata. Why does he say listen? Because this topic is now going to end. This topic of sattva, rajas, and tamas, he is going to summarize. The sukha is the end result of all those sattvic action, rajasic action, tamasic action, sattvic knowledge, rajasic and tamasic knowledge, buddhi, dhriti. The end result of it is sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. So listen, because the topic is going to end here. And then after that, Bhagwan will start a new topic. So he will talk about three kinds of sukha. And abhyasat, through practice, ramate yatra. So here, the person through practice, through the sattvic, rajasic or tamasic practice, he will get that sattvic, rajasic or tamasic ramate. He enjoys, enjoyment he will get. And dukkha antam. And what is the purpose of doing any action? Dukkha antam, the sorrow should end. Cha nigacchati. But here, when Bhagwan is talking about dukkha, he's talking about the highest. And we'll talk about that. So dukkhantam cha nigacchati, he attains to that end of sorrow. So as we said, listen means listen carefully, because this topic I'm going to summarize. And what is the purpose of following this sattvic path will give you sattvic joy. Rajasic path will give you rajasic joy, and tamasic path will give you tamasic joy. And what is sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic? Bhagwan will tell us in the next three shlokas. And we find that people generally do the least possible to get the maximum joy. They don't want to put too much effort. I should have. So Monday to Friday, they will work very hard, get up in the morning, get to work by 8. Why? Because my job starts at 8. I have to earn a living and I have to take care of my family and buy a new car and a house and all that. So there they are very hardworking. But weekend, don't bother me, 9, 10, 11. Why did you wait? Last night there was a party. I didn't get to bed till 2 o'clock. So would you like to go to the Gita class in the... No, forget it. Sunday morning, kaun subah उठ के जाएगा? अरे सुबह नहीं है, 11 बजे. Doesn't matter. So that is his purpose in life. Enjoy as much as possible, sleep as much as possible. Work is necessary for earning, but weekend, nothing. But on the other hand, once the person decides that my goal is spirituality, that I need to grow spiritually, it's good. Earning is good, working is good. But ultimately, my goal in life is to go towards God, to go towards spirituality, and for me to grow internally, so that I maybe get the true happiness, not because the worldly happiness he knows will only last for a while. So then once he or she has decided, then they switch on their path. Then they don't mind getting up early, 5:36 in the morning to meditate or take a shower and do some puja, do some chanting, Vishnu Sahasranama or Rudram or some chanting. Early morning, they will get up, do Gayatri Mantra, So why? Because now he has decided that is my goal in life. So once his goal has shifted from tamas and rajas to sattva, then automatically he will seek satsang. Some Swami Mahatma is coming. We have Swami Ishwaranandji coming next week, Monday to Friday, 7 to 8. Oh, some Swamiji is coming. I should go listen. So once he has or she has decided their goal in life, then all their actions are directed towards the goal. Just as a person who enjoys gambling, then all his thoughts is that only, how often I can go to Las Vegas, how much time I will spend. A person, so same way, once a person has that goal, it could be like music. A person says, I want to be a good musician. Every morning he will get up early and do riyaz. 1 hour he will practice singing or playing the instrument. So once your goal, you have decided where you are going to go, then that abhyasa, that practice gives you joy. Then it's no longer a suffering, why I have to get up in the morning to meditate or do puja or... No, that is, I enjoy that. So that practice gives him joy. Or it could be music, could be singing, could be, any things like that. And Dukh antam cha nigacchati, he attains. So attainment of end of sorrow, one is that by doing sattvic actions, as we will see in the next shloka, my mind becomes more quiet, more happy, more peaceful. Other dukh antam is the highest enlightenment, where the dukkha ends forever. And we see in these realized masters, when they lived their life, they had so many problems, so many difficulties, so many sorrows, all these great saints, but yet they kept their faith in Bhagwan because that gave them supreme joy. And no matter what the world does to me, it cannot give me sorrow. You know, Mirabai says, Mere to Giridhar Gopal, dusra na koi jaake said more mukut mero pati. So he said, I only want him, I only know him. Giridhar Gopal, nothing else matters, no matter how much sorrow you give me. So that is called complete dukh antam, complete cessation of sorrow. But even in this world, when you do sattvic actions, you will get sattvic joy, which will take you towards that ultimate joy. So the sattvic action may not give you that ultimate joy right away, but will take your mind towards that ultimate joy. And that we'll see in the last shloka today, how sattvic sukha we can get and what is the benefit of doing sattvic actions. Because we always want to know, if I do this, what will happen? So Bhagwan will tell us in shloka number 37. Yattadagre vishamiva pariname mritopamam tat sukham sattvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam yattadagre vishamiva pariname mritopamam tat sukham sattvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. So yat tat means that which, sukha, agre visham eva, in the beginning, visham eva, it may be like poison. That sukha, that activity, in the beginning, it seems like poison, but parinama means the result. At the end, amritaha upamam, it is like nectar, it is like amrit. So even though in the beginning it may seem difficult, but at the end the result is good. That is what Bhagwan is saying, that, but he's giving an extreme example. It seems like poison in the beginning, but ends up with nectar. The summary of that is, some activity in the beginning is difficult, but at the end, the result is good. Amrita upamam, it is like getting amrita. That sukham, sattvikam proktam, is said to be sattvic. And why is it sattvic sukha? Atma buddhi prasadajam. Means buddhi means my mind, my intellect is connected to Atma. And as a result of my connection to the self, prasada, the joy of this connection. Gurudev in his commentary talks about self-realization. A self-realized master who is always in touch with the Lord within is constantly enjoying that prasada. But for you and me, if we put our mind connected with Bhagwan, with the Lord, that's what even in our meditation, we have the meditation class every Sunday from 10:20 to 10:50, and we practice how in meditation I can connect. Because in puja, we connect with God outside, and that is good. But that's why when we offer a flower, we touch it to the heart and then offer it to Bhagwan. The idea being that Bhagwan is not only in that idol or in that picture, but is also in my heart. So when my mind is connected with Bhagwan, then I get prasada. One prasada, of course, is something sweet when we go to the temple. But once you are connected with God within, then you have the prasada all the time. Then even whether you are in the temple or whether you are on the driving on in the car or whether you are working in the kitchen, you always enjoy that inner prasada, that inner joy. That is called Atma Buddhi Prasadajam. And as we said, worldly objects will give me temporary joy. We know that. This is something you buy new, a car. After some time, it gets old and then starts giving problems and break down. And or you buy a new house after a while, the furnace and the roof and all those things. A new husband, or new wife after a while, So whatever is new after a while becomes old and then starts giving problems. That is well known. Everybody, the women especially are smiling. So everyone. So the point is that anything that is in the world sooner or later will get old and give you sorrow. Nothing will give you permanent joy except Bhagwan, except connecting with the Lord within and seeing Bhagwan outside, then that is permanent joy. And we find that also in life, not only in spirituality, but even like say there is a child. His mother tells him, you know what? You can't go to play till you finish your homework. Finish your studies, then you go. And you can play sports, but I want to be sure you keep your grades up. Don't spend so much time in sports. Play, yes, have fun, but make sure you have straight A's. Make sure you do well, not at least do well. And he says, my mother is so strict. She doesn't let me go play. All the other kids are playing. And he will complain. That is visham. That is poison in the beginning. But in the end, the result is good because this person has done his homework, studied properly. Then he gets straight A's. He gets into a good college. He has a good career. So in the beginning, it may look like, oh, my mother is not good and she's too hard on me, or my father, doesn't let me. But ultimately, on the other hand, the kid who is playing all the time and doesn't care about studies, and his parents say, as long as you do good in sports, ultimately it's the studies that matters, academic, in success. How many people can become NBA players or, Joe Montana football players? No, very rare. But so that's why in the beginning, it is sorrowful, but in the end, the result is good. And that's what they say. And this spiritual activities will take you closer to Atma. And those who get used to this, especially those who meditate on a regular basis, when you connect with the Lord, or even doing puja, where your mind is totally connected with Bhagwan, or chanting Vishnu Sahasranama or whatever, when your mind is totally connected, you experience that unique joy which no worldly objects can give. Nothing can equal that. So that is called Atma Buddhi Prasadajam. And such people have long-term goals. They are not looking for immediate pleasure. Look at our Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayanandaji when he started his work in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s. His goal was not 1 year or 2 years. He said 40 years. For 40 years he worked, and even 1993 he dropped his body, and it's 30 years now that he has dropped. But still the mission keeps growing, and all over the world, new centers are coming up, and children are studying, thousands of children are studying, and adults are studying, and it's happening all over the world. So their goal is long term. They're not looking for immediate, what will happen next year. And even he had so much obstacles, but his dhriti was there. He was involved. So for that, we need to have vairagya, have to have some detachment. You cannot be just dependent on things and beings for happiness. I have to turn within. And vairagya is very important. Somebody asked Mahatma, he says, what are the three things in spirituality? They say in real estate, there are three things. location, location, location. So in spirituality, there are three things: vairagya, vairagya, vairagya. You have to have dispassion, you have to have detachment from worldly things to hold on to that higher. That's what Gurudev says: drop the lower and hold on to the higher. And so vairagya, but people look for shortcut. They say, I don't want to give up anything. I want to keep enjoying. And at the same, you can't have both. You have to pick. Does not mean that life should not be fun. But once you discover that spiritual joy, then the worldly joy is not important. Then for such a person, it is very easy to give up parties, give up, all these. With the worldly people find fun, but he finds so much joy in the other that it doesn't matter. Friday night, he doesn't have to go out. I can just listen and chant and practice my bhajans or my chanting. Slowly he develops vairagya, but people look for shortcut. They don't want to give up anything. So like you tell him, do Ashtanga yoga, yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. He says yama niyama, yama is external control, external, doing the right thing. And niyama is internal. I don't want to do all this external self-control and internal self-control. He says, do asana. No, asana is too much trouble. Just teach me pranayam. So straight away he says pranayam, and then I want to do dhyana samadhi. Are beech mein there are 8 steps that Patanjali Maharishi has written. You have to have some amount of self-control. You have to have internal, your mind has to be quietened. Do some simple asanas, do some proper pranayam. Then pratyahar dharana, give up things that are interfering in my spiritual progress and determine that I am going to progress. Then your meditation will be fruitful. Does not mean that you have to do all the 7 steps before I start meditation. But as I am studying meditation, doing this jhana, all these other things help. So Ashtanga Yoga, that's why Patanjali Maharishi has given us these steps so that we should follow them all. Then and then alone, you will reach Samadhi, which is the highest goal of spiritual pursuit. And this reminds me of a beautiful story of Avadhut. Some of you may have heard. But there was this Yadu Raja who was going through the forest from one part of his kingdom to another part. The road in the middle was a forest, going through a forest. So he was going with his soldiers, with his ministers, they were riding their horses. And they come to this little clearing in the forest, and there is this man sitting just wearing a loincloth and have a begging bowl, nothing else. And he's laughing and laughing and laughing loudly. So what's wrong? And there's so much joy in his face. He looks so happy. He's like, so king, stop. He says, why are you laughing? He says, I'm happy. He said, how can you be happy? You have nothing. You have a loincloth to cover you. You have a begging bowl. How can you be happy? So he asked the king, are you happy as I am happy? He says, no, I have a palace. I have all the money. I have all the wealth, but I am so unhappy. He said, why? So, I'm worried about the other king, and then I'm worried about my own kingdom. And then when I'll grow old and, my son is not good enough, and my wife is, all these problems I have and worries. So he says, that is the problem with you. The king said, but how can you be so happy? How can you have nothing? How can you be happy? The king gives a beautiful example. He says, all the rest of us are like when there is a fire in the forest, how all the animals run, from the fire. But you are like the elephant who has found a lake of cool water, and you are sitting there and you are enjoying that lake when all the rest of us are running in this fire of this world. How are you able to enjoy that? Teach me also, he says. Because the king realizes that ultimately money can only buy so much, cannot give you that. So he says, Raja, he says, I have a lot of gurus. He says, you have guru? Yeah, show me who are your gurus. He says, I have 24 teachers. He says, 24? How did you find 24? He said, Santi me guravo Rajan. He says, I have 24 gurus. He said, what are those? He says, one is the earth. Earth, she gives without expecting anything back, constantly gives to us, gives. That is my guru. Then he said, what else? He says, from space I have learned. Just as from earth I have learned to give, from space I have learned to accommodate everybody and everything. Space accommodates everything but does not get contaminated. Even if there is smoke, the air will get contaminated, but the space doesn't. But the space accommodates all planets and gives them place, but itself is unaffected. He says, yeah. So like that, then he says, like the wind, the breeze is my guru, because the breeze goes from place to place, never stays in one place, never gets attached. Same way, I just go from place to place. I never get attached. I never hold on to things. Then he says, from the bee, I have learned, just as the bee takes a little from each flower and makes honey. So I also beg, but I beg very little from each house, whatever little they can give, so that I don't become a burden. And then I enjoy the honey. And then whoever comes, or somebody like you, I talk to them. If they ask for wisdom, knowledge, I tell them. Otherwise, I'm happy in my own bliss. I enjoy them. So like that, he gives 24 examples. Actually, you can read that in the Srimad Bhagavat. My 24 teachers, that is given. You can even Google that. And so like that, a person who has found, he says, the whole nature is my guru. I just learned from them. I don't even need to go to a, and in fact, we teach that 24 gurus in our Bal Vihar. I know Deepika has taught. So there we teach the students, children, that how to get message, learn from nature, learn from things. And that's what they say, that Bhagwan Shri Krishna says in the Gita very beautifully, Yat karoshi yad ashnasi, yad juhoshi tadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. He says, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you enjoy, whatever sacrifices you do it for me. So every action of mine should be dedicated to Bhagwan, that I'm doing it for him, not for this person, that person, ultimately just so that my God may be pleased. When you dedicate all activities to Bhagwan, that I'm doing it for him, then you experience that joy within. That is called Atma Buddhi Prasadajam. I experience the inner joy, where then the worldly joys do not matter. Does not mean that the person, if there's something joyful, he will enjoy. Like in this Bhuktanand Lahiri by Shankaracharya ji, he says, this person, Pure Pauran Pashyan Narayuvati Nama Kriti Mayan. He says, if a person is with people who are having fun, he'll have fun. He's in a fair or what. And then next day, if he's alone, sleeping, he will sleep on a river bank, on a stone. And third day, some king invites him to sleep on a bed, he will sleep there also. It's not that, but Munirna Vyamoham Bhajati Guru Diksha Kshatatamaha. His ignorance has been removed by the right knowledge of the Guru. And then he never gets deluded, never gets bothered by situations. If there's a good situation, he will enjoy it. If there's a bad situation, he's fine. He does not get affected. So that is called Satvik Sukha, where in the beginning it may appear difficult, but in the end, the result is good. Same way, getting up in the morning, in the beginning, it may appear difficult, alarm clock, 6 o'clock, but then slowly you get used to it. And starting in childhood, if we find children in childhood are getting up in the morning, chanting Gayatri mantra or whatever, then it becomes part of their life, even when they become older. Then the benefit of that comes. So that is called Satvik Sukha. So today we talked about Satvik, Rajasic and Tamasic Dhritti and Satvik Sukham. And then next week, there won't be a class because of Easter. So we'll meet in 2 weeks. We'll talk about Rajasic and Tamasic Sukha. And then Bhagwan will start a new topic in the 18th chapter. 18th chapter is quite long. It's 72 shlokas. So a lot of topics are covered by Bhagwan. And also, if those of you who have the book, this one, Gurudev has made beautiful charts. You can find after each, like after Dhriti, there is a chart. After Buddhi, there is a chart where he has summarized Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So it is very easy to see all three in one. So please study Puja Gurudev's commentary, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Next week, starting tomorrow, we are very blessed to have Swami Ishwarananda ji here from Monday to Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. He will be talking on Shweta Ashvatara Upanishad. It's a very beautiful Upanishad, very practical. He has already finished chapter 1. Those of you who want to listen to chapter 1, Amit puts them on firstpower.info. So the talks are there. But the second chapter, Swamiji will be talking Monday to Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Please log in to the same Zoom link for those who are out of town. Those who are in town, it is always better to listen to Swamiji personally. And also we have some spaces available if you would like to offer Diksha to Swamiji, a chance to talk to him, personally and serve him some food. There is no better punya than serving a Mahatma. So if you have an opportunity, take advantage of that. So we have some spaces available. You can talk to Neeru or Sonali. They are arranging that. So talk to her in the office. And so that is for next week. There will not be any classes next week because all evenings Swamiji is doing this Shweta Ashvatara Upanishad, which will be on Zoom. Lunchtime, there will be just people will be meeting him informally, and he may do some informal satsang, but there won't be any noon class. It will be only evening that will be on Zoom. But if you are offering Diksha to Swamiji, you can come and talk to him, and even others are welcome because he will be doing some informal satsang, but that will be around 12:30. So we do have time. Anybody has any questions or comments would like to add? We have a few minutes. Anybody in the audience here or on Zoom, if you have any question or comment. Kusum, go ahead, please.
I don't have questions, but I just want to say, so nicely you said that to read Gurudev's this book.
Yes.
Because it's really beautifully given. And today's the last 37 sloka, the last paragraph is so beautifully done. So I think it will be helpful if you all read it. And then the Guruji, Swami Tejovainanda ji, gives beautiful that how do you get sattvic joy? How do you experience? And he says, if our vision, action, intellect, and will are sattvic, you will get sattvic joy. So all those 4 things has to be sattvic.
Yes.
And then he gives a list of things, how you experience effortlessly the sattvic joy. And he said it's like sharing a heartfelt smile, watching the sunrise, or watching the bird fly, or smile of an infant, or in the presence of the noble souls, or listening to the glories of the God, like we listen on Sunday evening, Bhagavatam, and it's so beautiful. You can, for a whole hour, you can be in meditation, even listening that. So that is thing. And he said, being with nature makes the mind restful, peaceful, and gives sattvic joy. So that's why when we go for walks or something, you really enjoy that because your mind becomes really peaceful and you enjoy that sattvic joy. And he says a sensitive mind and a keen senses have the capacity to gain the sattvic joy and acquire the taste of it. And he says sattvic joy is subtle in nature, so you can't express it, but you can just feel it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kusum. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Lata, no question, no comment. Anybody else? Auntie? Okay, so we'll end here and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Next Sunday, there will be no class. And throughout this week, we will have no classes. All our regular classes, including the Tuesday 12:30 class, 12 o'clock class will also be canceled because we'll be meeting with Swamiji. But if you are in town, please come and meet him and offer him Diksha, and we'd love to see you all. Thank you very much. Hari Om. We'll do the closing prayer. Ramaben, you have a question?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you very much. Enjoy the talks.
Thank you. Okay, we'll do the closing. Om Sarve
Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu
Ramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you all for joining. See you in 2 weeks. Hari Om.